Hello, and welcome to another day of walking with Jesus as we continue to walk with Jesus down the road. He is in Jerusalem. He has had the triumphal entry. He has had the cleansing of the temple happen. He is in the last week of his earthly ministry before the crucifixion. And as he hangs out in Jerusalem in the temple area, teaching and instructing and talking to the people, he begins to be questioned by the religious rulers and the authorities. And so we're going to be seeing some of that. So just, the context is that this is the last week of Jesus' ministry on earth. And as we look at this, then we're beginning with Luke chapter 20, verse 1. And what we have is one day as Jesus was teaching the people in the temple and preaching the gospel, the chief priests and the scribes with the elders came up and said to him, "Tell us by what authority you do these things, or who it is that gave you this authority." He answered them, "I also will ask you a question. Now tell me, was the baptism of John from heaven or from man?" And they discussed it with one another, saying, "If we say from heaven, he will say, 'Why did you not believe him?' But if we say from man, all the people will stone us to death, for they are convinced that John was a prophet." So they answered that they did not know where it came from. And Jesus said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things." So one of the things that I want us to realize as we walk with Jesus today and as we go through this world and as we proclaim the truth of Jesus Christ, we may be questioned, our motives may be questioned, our gospel may be questioned, the authority with which we speak may be questioned. All of these things, just because we walk with God and just because we strive to live in obedience to Him, doesn't mean that the world won't question us. It will. And actually, the more opposed to the message of the gospel they are, the more likely they are to question us. One of the things that I was thinking about as I read this, what do you suppose the good news or the gospel was for Jesus as he proclaimed it? Because obviously he wasn't proclaiming at this point in time salvation through the blood of Jesus Christ. That's what we think of as the gospel, and certainly it is. But for Jesus, I think the gospel is the good news that the kingdom is at hand, the good news that the king is near, the good news that God has visited his people, that the Messiah has come, as it were. And, the chief priests and the elders, the scribes, they're like, what authority do you have? And they're questioning it. And Jesus says, well, look at all that I've done. I mean, he doesn't say that. Because he knows they're just antagonistic toward him. He has demonstrated, he has done signs and wonders. He's raised people from the dead. He's healed people from leprosy. He's given sight to the blind. He's fed the multitudes. He has clearly demonstrated that he has authority. He has clearly demonstrated that God is with him. They aren't going to accept it no matter what. And so he doesn't really engage in dialogue with them. He returns their question with a question. And I think that's a good tactic. When they try and paint you in the corner, ask them a question and let them answer the question. In this particular instance, they can't answer it because they're not willing to acknowledge that John the Baptist or Jesus Christ are from God. They're not willing to acknowledge that which they have seen and that which they have heard. They are fulfilling the prophet that while seeing they do not see, and while hearing they do not hear. And so they can't answer it. They're more concerned about what the people think than they are about what God thinks. And so they're in a dilemma. And Jesus then says, well, then I'm not going to answer your question either. What are we going to do with this? First of all, I think for us today, we need to be reminded on occasion that just because we serve the King of Kings and Lord of Lords doesn't mean we will be well accepted or liked even by other religious authorities. Secondly, I think we can learn that sometimes asking a question instead of giving an answer is a better way to go. And third, I think that we need to just understand that persecution is likely to come for those who follow Jesus Christ. Remember, we are in the last week of Jesus' life. Jesus knows what is going on and where he's headed. So don't think that you're going to get out of tribulation card somehow in this world. We in this world are going to have tribulation. We're going to be asked questions. We're going to have to provide a reason for our faith. And we just have to keep going back to prayerful consideration of what Jesus has done for us and hang our hat on that. And whatever happens, happens. So in the future, as life rolls out, if persecution comes, if difficulty happens, if we become persecuted because we proclaim Jesus Christ, crucified, risen, coming, hold fast. Don't turn away. And, don't doubt the good news of Jesus Christ. Stay true. So Jesus was challenged. He was questioned. We may be as well. Just stay faithful. Stay true. Don't allow the authorities to scare you, to cow you, and realize that even if they kill you, as the Apostle Paul said in Philippians chapter 1, verse 21, to live is Christ. To die is much more better because you'll get to be with him. So that's not convenient, it's not comfortable, and you may not like it, and my following may go off, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. Serve Christ. Give your all for him. Trust in him. He will carry you through. God bless you as you walk with Jesus today.